Good morning. Welcome, everybody.
Good morning.
Just give another minute and then we will get started. Sonia, we are not able to see you.
Is it visible right now, ma'am?
Yes. So start in another minute, you feel, or?
Sure, we can start in a minute. Yeah.
Okay. Nice to see a whole host of familiar people here. Good morning, Dr. Chellam. Prasanna is here as well, and Sheila is here as well. A lot of old people. Okay, let's get started. Good morning and welcome, everybody. We am very delighted to bring this webinar to you. So for the last 3 years, we have been running the Ayurveda Dietetics program out of PDU. It has been an effort mostly now in terms of education, but we are moving into research as well. And our goal through this program has been to try and understand what are dietetic principles from Ayurveda that we can apply both for wellness as well as for diseases to help with better recovery and maintenance of health, of course. But what we found was that there is a difference in the way modern science approaches dietetics and the way Ayurveda approaches dietetics. The narratives, the nomenclature, the framework for understanding how foods impact the body, all of these are very different between the two systems. So Sonia joined us just about 8 months ago now. She joined us in March. And her training as a dietitian was meant to augment our capacity in terms of the Ayurveda and the foods, ingredients, practices that was ongoing at the IAIM Healthcare Center. So over the last 8 months, Sonia has been steadily doing, I would say at least 4 or 5 different activities integrated across the university and the hospital. She's of course been running the Ayurveda dietetics courses. In addition, she's been working with Dr. Prasanna Sankar on dietetics for cancer patients. It's an observational study that we have begun. Because what we found that when we started wanting to do research in this area is that because the nomenclatures itself were so different, we were not sure how is it that we should go about in terms of the processes, the protocols, in terms of diet assessments and also outcomes, because all of these things are different. To give you one example, if you want to treat somebody for iron deficiency anemia, you would use blood-based biomarkers such as HP, ferritin, if you want to be really more thorough. You would use iron-loaded transferrin, maybe you would use hepcidin levels, etc. So all these biochemical biomarkers. However, from an Ayurveda point of view, there will be a lot more phenotypic observations that you would make in order to assess if your treatment was being effective. And so therefore, Sonia basically started from a very, very low point in terms of the type of work that we wanted to do in terms of research. We decided we'll first just do a series of observations to understand how diets work. And so in this first of many seminars, I think Sonia will be giving us, we want to tell you what we are doing in terms of Ayurveda Dietetics. And I would say that we are not doing just Ayurveda alone. We are trying to see where we can combine nutritional biochemistry and Ayurvedic outputs and see if we can evolve some common tools, protocols, and ultimately we want to be able to give you some evidence-based protocols for your own dietetic practices that you can very confidently apply. So with that very broad goal in mind, Sonia joined us, and I have to appreciate her. She comes from a dietetic, traditional nutrition and dietetics background, and she has taken this adventure on with us because there is really no structure or no one way of doing things. And I'm very excited and happy to have her with us. And I'm looking forward to this presentation that she'll give you, which is an interim sort of work in progress on her work, both with the Ayurveda Dietetics program as well as on the project that she's working with Dr. Prasan Shankar. Welcome, Sonia.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that wonderful introduction. So I think I will start with the presentation as we are up to the time. Is my screen visible?
Ha, Sonia, visible.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Good morning, everyone. So welcome to the webinar, which is like Ayurveda food concepts for the clinical dietitians. So I would say this particular webinar is like a personal perspective of me working at an Ayurveda hospital, what my work has been throughout, this 8 months, what I've been gaining through this, and what are the, perceptions and what in future we can be doing. So I would want this session to be a little bit of interactive. So can someone like unmute and tell me what, when you look at this picture, what do you think? Like what comes to your mind first?
Balanced diet.
Okay, balanced diet, right? What else? Anything else which comes to your mind? As a dietitian, let's say there's a patient comes to you and they show that this is what I've been eating. So as a dietitian, what would come to your mind the first time when you look at this picture?
Portion size.
Sorry?
Portion size.
Portion size. Okay, very good. Yes. What else?
There's I think if I can guess right, it's a copper vessel with some buttermilk kind of a thing or a yogurt there,
Okay.
which means like some fermented food is also added, which is gut friendly.
Okay. Okay. Fine. That's good. What else?
Food,
the vital element for existence.
Okay. That's, yeah, too good. Very nice. So what else do you think? Like, let's say you're taking a 24-hour recall and they say they've eaten rice, they have eaten a chapati, and they've eaten some dal. So what do you do after that? I think definitely you will try to calculate the macronutrients, right? That's the first thought we actually do it. Whenever we take a recall, we try to, see the portion size, as you mentioned, then we see what are the different types of food groups. And as you mentioned, the quantity, all of that. So that is something very important for us when we take the 24-hour recall. So as a dietitian, when I look at a picture, for me, the main thing will be the rice will give me carbs. The chapatis are going to give me carbs in terms of the macronutrients. Obviously, there are different types of micronutrients as well. But the first thing which comes to my mind would be the macronutrients. And then when I look at the lady's finger, it will be the fiber. And when I look at the dal, it is going to be the protein. And when I look at this picture over here of the buttermilk, which is kept in the copper vessel, that is again it's a dairy food group, which is rich in the protein and the calcium as a micronutrient, right? So this is what is my thought when I look at this particular meal plate, right? But after I joined this hospital, when I started working with Dr. Prasan and Dr. Bhargavi, I understood there is much more than just the calories or just more, than the macronutrients or the micronutrients. So I think most of you have already done our course, that is the Ayurveda Dietetics. So these terms are going to be very easy for you to understand. So to start with, dal, we know that it's a Madhura rasa. So the red ones are the rasas and the green ones are the gunas. So dal, it is rich in the Madhura rasa, Kashaya rasa, and when in terms of the gunas, it is a laghu. That means it's light for the digestion. And the chili which is present in the dal, that is for the tadka, is the kattu. And when it comes to the rice again, it's Madhura, sweet in nature, and guru, that is heavy. And when you look at the chapati, it is Madhura and Guru. So Guru is something which is like heavy. And these ladies' finger, the lady finger is Madhura and Shita. That is the cooling effect. The buttermilk over here is Amla Rasa and Laghu. That is the light in digestion. So this is what I've tried to understand. So whenever I'm trying to look at my patients, the 24-hour recall, I just not consider the macronutrients or the micronutrients, but I'm also trying to understand the rasas and the gunas of the particular foods. Yeah. So these are two of the protein sources which you would, suggest for a, let's say the green gram over here is for the vegetarian patient, and the meat over here is for a non-vegetarian patient. So when you look at this parameters over here, the protein content of the green gram dal is 4.7, whereas the goat chops is 4.07, which is for the 20 grams. And this particular thing, it's taken from IFCT, and it's a software. You people must be familiar, DietCal software. So you can see the protein in both of the food is almost same. So you can suggest the green gram for the vegetarian source and the goat chops for the non-veg person. But here, the main thing to understand here is whether we don't know this green gram, how it will be, what the food does to the body, or what your body is going to react like when the food is being taken. That is not being seen in a modern perspective. We just try to understand how much of protein is there, how much of carbohydrate is there, etc. But we don't understand what are the qualities of the food. So here, when it comes to the Ayurveda point of view, you can see that the green gram is Madhura in nature, it's Kashaya, it's Shita Virya, that is cooling in nature. The post-digestive effect is Madhura Vipaka. The quality is Laghu and dry, and Pushti Balaprada. Dosha is it's Kapha Pittahara and Vatakara. Here, when you look at the meat, the taste is Mamsa, which is the Madhura Rasa, and energy is Ushna Virya. Post-digestive effect is pungent, that is Kattu Vipaka. Quality over here is heavy, it's Guru. Oily, that is a Snigdha. Strengthening is Balya. Dosha impact, when you see, it increases the Pitta to some extent and the Kapha dosha. So this is what matters a lot. Like, just giving them a dal for the diet, like you can take some 50 grams of green gram, or you can take 50 grams of meat. Try to understand how their Agni is. What would be suitable for them? Even though they're going to be non-vegetarian, we cannot always suggest them to take a meat because of their diseased condition, right? So we need to try to understand their condition. Based on that, we would be suggesting. So that is why it is really important for us to understand the rasas and the gunas, the qualities of the particular food, which is clearly mentioned in our Ayurveda classics. Okay. So this is just a picture for you to understand how I have been trying to integrate what I've been taught in my, in my dietetics class, and what I've been learning here at the Ayurveda hospital. So when you look at to the left side, so as a RD, I will try to, understand in terms of the energy, protein, then food frequency questionnaire, diet quality questionnaire, then some of the different types of supplements, enteral feed, parenteral feed, etc. right? So these are the things which I try to consider when I'm giving a diet chart or when I'm trying to assess a patient. These are some of the things when, as a RD, I would definitely do without any kind of an Ayurveda approach. But when I have started to work here at the IAIM hospital, I've tried to learn a lot of things. For example, Agni. So Agni is something like the digestive power. You must be familiar with it. Then we have the Prakriti. So Prakriti is the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, the three different types of the doshas. And then we have the Desha. Then we have the Kala, Bala, and Kosta. So these are some of the things I have tried to understand of the different types of patients and collaborate it with my RD knowledge so that I can give them an integrative approach. So this is what I've been trying to do. So this is just like a quick summary for you. So in this particular webinar, we are going to talk about two things. I'm going to show you two perspectives. That is one of the perspective is going to be the cancer project. The cancer project which Megha had already mentioned. So I'm going to talk about that first. And then we will see what are the common recipes which we can follow at the hospital, which is being followed at the hospital and which you can prescribe for your patients. So to start with, we have the study which is funded by RIST, Rural India Supporting Trust. It is outcomes of Ayurveda and the integrative management of cancer. It's an observational descriptive study. So here we are trying to understand, we take cancer patients, we're recruiting the cancer patients and we are giving them Ayurveda approach as well as they, even if they are on the let's say contemporary medicine, we try to understand how our Ayurveda and the contemporary medicine can help them to for the patient's life betterness. So we try to recruit the patients within various groups, which is a heterogeneous diagnosis, and we have collected from data from 10 patients for now, and the data collection has been started since April. So I'm going to show you the data for the 10 patients, and it's the study is still ongoing. So we are planning to recruit a lot of more patients as well. And the potential implications for a broader cancer care practices have been tried to understand in this particular project. So this is the methodology of this study, which like the study has a lot of other parameters to understand the the Ayurveda and the contemporary medicine. But for me, the main thing was for me is the dietetics part, right? So here I have tried to give a methodology wherein what I can do and give a diet chart as an integrative diet chart. So first thing we do is we recruit the patients. We do the Ayurvedic assessment. So under the Ayurvedic assessment, we have the Swasthya score, which is like, it includes the Agni, Kosta, Bala Pariksha, and all of like a lot of other things are also included. But for me, the point of interest would be these things. That is the Agni, that is the digestive capacity, bowel movements, and the Bala Pariksha. Then there is something called as Ashtavida Pariksha, which is the subjective assessment, wherein we try to look at the mala, that is a stool, jiva, that is a tongue, mutra is the urine. So we try to understand like how we have in our modern perspective something called as the Bristol stool scale, right? Similarly, there also we try to understand what, how many times the frequency of the stool, if there is any different type of odor, the frequency and the type, all of these things we take into the consideration. Then we have Prakriti analysis, which is the Ayurvedic body composition analysis. We try to understand whether the patient is Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. So these are the Ayurvedic assessment. Then when it comes to the modern assessment, so you must be familiar that for the cancer patient, we need to screen them using the tool called as the PGSGA tool. That is patient-specific subjective global assessment. It's specifically for the cancer patients, right? So I try to screen all the patients, whoever comes here, the cancer patients, with the PGSDA tool at their first visit. And then we take their ABCD. You people must be familiar with this. That is the anthropometry, biochemical evaluation, clinical evaluation, the diet that includes a 24-hour recall. Then we have something called as PES diagnosis, that is problem, etiology, signs, and symptoms. So all of these are the assessment tools which I use. And then what I try to do is I try to combine the Ayurvedic assessment and the modern assessment and prepare a integrative diet chart using both the sides of the assessment. So this particular thing is at the clinical end. So this I follow at the hospital. So what do I do at my lab end? So I try to give them the diet charts, right? So 24-hour recall, you must be familiar that, it is something that past 24-hour, what the patient has been eating. So I collect that information, and this particular information has been put in the software called as DietCal. Okay. So I try to collect all that, whatever they've been eating the past 24 hours. That is the first variation. Then second one, we have Ayurveda hospital diet. So at the hospital, what these patients have been consuming. So that is the second approach. Then as a registered dietitian, what I would suggest for this patient, like without any approach. So let's say I have not come to the hospital and I'm just working at a cancer hospital. So what I would suggest for these kind of patients without any integrative approach. Then the fourth one is the integrated approach. So as I mentioned, I try to combine the Ayurvedic assessment and the modern assessment and make a integrative diet chart. Then what I try to do is I will examine their diet quality questionnaire, okay, and their meal frequency. So for all of these 10 patients, we have already done. I will be showing you the data in the coming slides. And we are trying to, follow up with these patients like till they complete their chemotherapy cycle or till they complete their follow-ups, till, the treatment protocol has been done. So we're trying to understand the compliance and the Agni status. So the results were very fascinating for me because we have found that the Agni Bala assessment, what we had done, actually correlated with the food intake. So when we tried to take the recall and, when we did the Agni assessment for these patients, we saw a trend that the Mandagni, that is a weak digestive fire individuals, they consumed 600 to 700 kilocalories daily, which was below the recommendation. So basically, to tell you in short, like Mandagni were, having the foods which is below the recommendation, like they are having just 600 to 700 kilocalories. And whereas the Tiksha Agni, the ones who were having a strong digestive fire, they exceeded the recommended levels. That was like, to give you an example, above their recommended 1800 kilocalories. So this was a trend we've been seeing, but still we cannot, conclude with these results because the sample size is very less, and we are trying to understand this particular, the correlation more in the detail. This is one of the result. Then in terms of energy, we try to compare all the 4 parameters, that is the 24-hour recall, the Ayurveda hospital diet, then the RD approach, and the Ayurveda plus RD approach. So when we have tried to compare it, we found that our integrative group has the highest average energy intake. So when you look at this graph, you can see that the the light blue one is the 24-hour recall. The Ayurveda is the this gray, and the light gray are the Ayurveda and the RD approach. So the darker shade is the integrative approach. So when you look at this trend, you can see almost, our integrative approach is very high on the energy intake. Next up, we have this protein. So here again, we saw a trend that our Ayurveda and RD approach was having a higher protein when you compare to the Ayurveda diet. So you can see here, the light one is this one is the 24-hour recall. Then you have the Ayurveda and the RD approach, and then we have our integrative approach. So the protein quantity as well as the quality shows an improvement. So you must be asking me, like, obviously the quantity here I have mentioned that, there is an increase, but how are you saying the quality? So I will show you the recipes, how we have tried to, compare the contemporary recipes with the Ayurveda recipes, and how we have tried to improve the quality of the foods. Then the carbohydrate. there was not much of a difference we found in all of in any of these parameters, that is the 24-hour recall or the Ayurveda approach or the RD or the Ayurveda plus RD approach. So we did not see much of a difference in terms of the carbohydrate intake. Fat. So fat quality is also altered in Ayurveda plus RD approach, and you can see that the Ayurveda, we also found that the Ayurveda hospital diet had a higher fat intake, whereas our approach was like, approximately given the recommended fat intake and the quantity was being reduced. So this is like an overall change which was observed in the macronutrient composition. So just to give you a gist about this table here, I have tried to put in 3 patients' data. Okay, so this one is a 24-hour recall, which is the pre-approach of ours, what our approach is, like the integrative approach. And this one is the Ayurveda recommendation, the hospital diet. Then this is the RD recommendation. And this is the integrative, that is the when you give you the diet, what we saw. So here when you look at this circles, the size of the circle actually depicts the energy. So if the size is smaller, that means the energy is less, the energy intake is less. Whereas when the size is bigger, that means the energy is at a higher scale. And you can see that we are trying to, improve on our protein 8%, then we have 10%, 15%, 15%. Though there is not, much of a difference between the RD and the integrative approach, but still, it's a trend that, we've been observing that the protein has been improved in our integrative approach. So till now, I've been talking to you about the quantitative approach, right? So quantitatively, how we've been improved. Now, I would like to tell you that how we have improved the qualitative. So as you must be knowing, DQQ is a diet quality questionnaire, right? So we took the diet quality questionnaire of all these parameters. That is 24-hour recall we have done. Then we have done the Ayurveda approach, RD approach, and the integrative approach. We found that our integrative approach had a high diet diversity score, and that we also found that the 24-hour recall was the lowest among any of these. So diet diversity has significantly improved on our integrative approach, that is the Ayurveda plus RD approach. Then when it comes to the meal frequencies, that is something like number of meals in a day. So when we took a record, 24-hour recall, when you look at the 24-hour recall, we saw that they were just consuming 3 meals per day, right? And which was very less for them. And that is the reason, the energy, the protein, or all the macronutrients were at a lower scale. But when we tried to give our approach, we understood that the meal frequency also has been improved. We were trying to give them a small and a frequent meals, right? So we have improved on the meal frequency as well. So the conclusion of these studies were, I found that the Agni Bala was very interesting, but we are trying to still study the correlation of it. And one more thing, the main thing was, we tried to focus here on the low nutrient density formats, such as soup, gruels, and extract. So when I talk about the nutrient density, I will try to explain in detail in our future slides, what is this nutrient density and etc. And we have specifically used such elements like MCT fats. MCT fat is something like medium chain triglycerides, and that is basically, it like something like other fat. It's a saturated fat. Like other fats, it does not require enzymes to be digested. It can be directly absorbed in the liver. So I have tried to, correlate that my dietetics practice with the, it has to be like a light approach and Ayurveda approach as well. So try to collaborate these approaches and given them such diets. Then inclusion of the moong dal, horse gram in terms of the proteins, and in terms of the dosa ratios, like 5:1. So that is something like 5 parts of rice and 1 part of the urad dal. Then for a few patients, we have given 5 parts of rice, 2 parts of urad dal. So these are some of the, minute changes which we have done. And this is what we have included in our integrative approach. Okay. So now I will talk about the different types of the recipes which we usually give to the patients, the food formats. I will try to compare it with the conventional recipes and the Ayurveda recipes. Okay. So the first one here is takra. So takra is something like just like a buttermilk, but it's it is churned in takra the curds are churned by adding water 1/4 quantity of the curds. So let's say I will be taking 50 ml of curd, okay, and I will add 4 parts. So that will be 200 ml of water. I will churn it, then I will skim off any of the visible fat which is present over it and give that as a takra. So this is the Ayurvedic recipe which we follow at the hospital. Here in this table, I have tried to compare takra and the buttermilk which we usually get, like the product, let's say the mother dairy product, or any of the conventional recipe. I've tried to compare both of them. So when you look here, the takra and the buttermilk, both of them are having there's only 5 kilocalories of difference in terms of energy. Whereas in terms of carbohydrate, again, the takra is 1.5 grams and the buttermilk is 2.2. I mean, it's not a big difference, but yeah, there is a difference, but not a big difference. Then the total fat is 2 grams and the buttermilk is having 2.1 grams. In terms of protein also, when you see, there is a 0.5 grams of difference, right? So this particular is just to tell you that, even though you're going to change the format of the food, the macronutrients are not going to vary much. So this is just the evidence to show you that you can actually, start formulating or changing the formats of the food to a lower nutrient density, right? So this is another example. Here you can see horse gram salad, right? So let's say there's one cancer patient coming to me and, they want to have a salad, right? So I would suggest them to take a horse gram salad, and horse gram is something they really like. And also it's rich in fiber, it's rich in protein, and it's low, low cost as well. So I'll ask them to take 50 grams of horse gram, pressure cook it, add 40 grams of onion or tomatoes, make it as a horse gram salad. That is all. So this is like a simple recipe which I would ask them to do, right? Here, the down part, you can see here I have tried to show the nutrient density. That is the kilocalorie per gram. That is the energy density of this particular recipes. So here you can see the energy density is equal to the total calories of this particular recipe divided by the grams, the total weight of the particular recipe. And we saw that the energy density over here is 1.2. Similarly, when I'm working at this hospital, I try to change the format. I want to give them the horse gram, definitely, but I would try to change the format. So this recipe is something which we follow here. That is Kulata Yusa. So here, this recipe, horse gram is same. So here also we have used 50 grams of horse gram. Here also we are using 50 grams of horse gram. We are going to add pipli, like 2 to 3 pieces of pipli. We are going to boil it, okay, and make it as a soup. The main thing here would be, so here the cooked weight was 150 grams. So the total weight of the horse gram salad was 150 grams. Here the weight is 350 grams. Right? So 350 ml of the soup. So the energy density over here is 0.5. So when I'm trying to compare the salad and the soup, you can see that the energy density is higher when you're trying to give a salad. Whereas when you're trying to give a soup, it is 0.5. But the total calories, when you see, there is not much of a difference because you're using the same amount of horse grams in the recipes, right? The only thing that matters is you're changing the format and you're changing the quantity. So quantity, again, if you ask me, 150 grams will be like a small katori. So definitely they can have a salad. Soup, obviously it has to be taken in a bowl. So one bowl is equal to the 350 ml, right? So that is how, we can understand that the energy density is something which is changing, but the total calorie is not, there's not much of a change. Even in the protein density, you can see, obviously the salad is having, 0.07 and the soup is having 0.03. But the total protein and the total energy would be almost the same. Right. Then there is another example. So let's say I'm suggesting a green gram salad, wherein I will be using 50 grams of green gram, pressure cooking it similar way. Onion will be added, tomato, and 40 grams. So altogether, the onion, tomato, and the pomegranate will be 40 grams. So all of these will be added to the green gram, the boiled, the cooked, well-cooked green gram. So this is again the salad, which will come up to 150 grams, right? So you can see here the energy density would be 1.22. The similar way, the salad, I would want to change the format and give it in a perspective where the patient's, the compliance is better, and also the taking into the consideration of the Agni. So let's say there's a patient who comes to me with the Manda Agni. Obviously, if I suggest them the green gram salad, they would definitely not be able to digest, right? So there I have to try to understand how I can change the format, right? So I would change the format to something called as Dadima Mudka. So here what they do is they will take 50 ml of the extract, that is a 50 ml of the pomegranate juice, boil it, okay, boil it like for 5 minutes, and that extract to be added to the moong dal soup. Just the plain mudga, like you just use a green gram and you add this 50 ml of the pomegranate to the soup in the end, right? So here when you look at the the calories and the proteins, you can see here the total calories is for the salad is 184, whereas the soup it's 204. So it's rich in energy as well. When you compare it to the salad, the soup is having a higher energy. And when you look at the energy density, the salad is having like 1.22, the soup is having the 0.48. So as I mentioned, the quantity and the format has been changed. That is the reason the energy density has been changed. But the total calories and the protein what you're going to give is the similar thing. Because how much ever you dilute it, the the total calories or the total protein is not going to change, right? So that is the concept over here. Yeah. So calories are constant, but the nutrient density varies. Okay. So there is a procedure called as Virechana procedure that comes under the Panchakarma treatment. So it's a purgation therapy. That means there is a vomiting sensation which is being given. So what happens here is, after the Virechana, the post the Virechana treatment, there is a diet which was being followed at the hospital. Okay, so first thing what is given to the patient immediately after the treatment is Mandayava. So here the barley or the rice. So what we use here is barley. So 50 grams of barley has been taken. It is being boiled in 1400 ml of water for 10 minutes, and you strain it, you filter it. So there are no grains of the barley at all. You will what you will do is you will boil the barley in 1400 ml of water, and you will strain the particular grains and just give the water. That is the Mandayava, which is like the 1:14 ratio. Then you go a step ahead. That is, you give the next recipe, that is the Peya. Here what we do is, it's similar to Mandayava, but it is again like 1:14 ratio. But what you try to do is, here you will not be straining. You will the particles what is there, like the rice or the barley particles, will be still present in the soup. So 100 grams of rice has been taken. It is boiled in 1400 ml of water. It is cooked in such a condition, and that particular 1400 ml, when it is cooked, obviously you would ask me that how can a patient drink so much of 1400 ml at a one time? Definitely we don't give that at one time. It is like a small and a frequent meals. So we give them as a total, as a soup consistency, and they will have to take every half an hour or 1 hour whenever they feel hungry. So it's not like compulsory, when they have to take in at that particular moment. So it's based on their appetite as well. Then the next one is the Yavagu. So Yavagu, it is in the ratio of 1:6. Okay. So here what we do is we take 100 grams of rice, we boil it in 600 ml of water, cook it really well. And here there is no straining, nothing. So this particular rice is cooked in 1:6 ratio. This is more like a porridge kind of a thing. Then when the patient's Agni status is improved and the patient is really responding well, then we go to Vilepi. So here the ratio over here is 1:4. That means we take 100 grams of rice, add 400 ml of water, cook it really well. And this is like, I would say, normally like a khichdi, not too not too watery also, but like a semi-solid type. So this is the final one. The Vilepi is the final one. So this is the post-Virechana diet which we try to follow at the hospital. So here I've tried to put down the the total calories and the energy density of each of these recipes. So when you look here, the first one, Mandayava, the total calories for this particular thing is 158. Because we are straining half of the almost everything is being strained out, right? So there is almost like 25 grams of barley would be left. So the energy density of this particular recipe would be 0.1. Whereas in Peya, the total calorie is 356. So this remains constant, whether it's a Peya, Yavagu or Vilepi, because we are adding the same amount of rice, that is the 100 grams of rice only, right? But the energy density is going to be changing because for the Peya, we add 1400 ml of water. For Yavagu, we are adding 600 ml of water. And for the Vilepi, we are adding 400 ml of water. So, we are not only trying to improve the patient's Agni status, but in terms of the energy also, energy carbohydrate also, you can see that there is a trend that we are increasing on the energy density. That is like from 0.1 to 0.2, then to 0.5, and then to 0.8. So we are trying to improve in terms of the macronutrients as well as their Agni status as well. So the key takeaways from this particular webinar I would like to tell you is, I have tried to understand the food from an, just not the quantitative approach, but also a qualitative and a subjective insights have been taken through. And, just not in terms of, like, as I mentioned, not in terms of the macronutrients, but also the qualities of the particular food I have tried to understand. And also the nutrient density can be manipulated by changing the formats. So even when you are prescribing the diet to your patients, you can change the formats of the particular foods, but ultimately the total what you're recommending will not be changing, but you can change the nutrient density, right? And obviously a lower nutrient density would be sometimes better for such patients who are having a lot of GI issues, or who are not able to digest the food really well. This particular integrative approach, one of the most important thing is I was able to try to coordinate with doctors here, like where I'm working with Dr. Prasan and with Dr. Bhargavi, because there was a good amount of coordination between both of us, like between the dietitian and the Vaidya. So that was the reason I was able to do an integrative approach. So this is very, very essential. Otherwise, it's impossible for me to come in front of you and present this particular webinar, right? So this coordination is something I really appreciate at this hospital, because they try to take up all my views as well, and I try to understand their views, and we give an integrative approach which is helpful for the patient's life. So I would like to thank my team. So Dr. Megha, she has been my backbone throughout this journey. She's been like very supportive to me. And I would like to thank Dr. Prasan Shankar, who's the medical director of at IAIM Hospital. And I would like to thank Dr. Bhargavi. She is the JRF, and she is the one who supports me for all my cases. So we both work together and give the integrative approach. So yeah. Thank you so much for patiently listening. And if there is anyone who has not taken up our course, you can write to us at wellness@tdu.edu.in, and we are planning to have a session Ayurveda dietetics again in the month of January end or maybe Feb starting is available, like for hands-on experience in the integrative dietetics as well. So you can write to us, and we are open to take some interns who wants to study the how you can work at a Ayurveda hospital, so that you can also practice in your future. Thank you so much. Okay, so I would take the questions right now. I think most of the things have been answered by Dr. Megha. I'm just trying to see. Yeah. So Hema is asking, could you clarify again how for the soup it is 350 grams horse gram? Is it the weight of the horse gram plus water? Yeah. So we are using 50 grams of horse gram only in both the cases, whether it's a salad or it's a soup. But we are boiling it and making it up to the 350 ml. So it's the weight of both the horse gram and the water. Yeah. Okay, there's another question. Post Virechana diet, why aren't we concentrating on proteins? Any particular reason given cancer patients are more prone to? Okay, so post Virechana diet is is something that will be there only for 1 or 2 days, maximum 2 days, or 3 days at all, and it's not something that they have to carry forward for a longer time. So just for that situation, because they have undergone these therapies, we cannot give them too much of protein or too much of diet, which will actually cause a reversible kind of a reaction. So that is the reason we are trying to give them a low calorie, low protein diet initially. But definitely, as you mentioned, they'll be prone to the muscle wasting. We will try to give them a better diet in the future. Are there any other follow-up to assess the clinical signs and symptoms for the improvements? Okay, so as mentioned, like I've been doing the PGSGA tool. So each follow-up, like we have 6 follow-ups in a year. So we try to assess the PGSGA every follow-up which is being done. And we like I mentioned in terms of the in terms of the Ayurveda, we have different types of scores. We have different types of scales which is being used, which will try to we can compare their quality of life before the diet has been given or after the diet has been given. How was the protein quality assessed? Is it done through the lab evaluation? So the protein quality, we have not yet done the lab evaluation, but we are yet trying to collect those recipes which is commonly given at the hospital, and we are trying to send it to the lab. So that process is still on, and definitely we are going to work on it. Okay, yeah. Yes, yeah. Please, Sheila ma'am, you can just unmute and ask me the question.
Thank you very much, Sonia. I think it's a very interesting presentation, and congratulations to you and your team for embarking on this very difficult project.
Yeah.
I can totally understand, as a dietitian, how difficult it must be trying to integrate both.
Yes.
So wonderful beginning. Thank you for the presentation. My question to you is, you have in the study you have compared the macros. Are you planning to do anything with the micros as well? Because in cancer, we see a lot of micronutrient deficiencies.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Definitely. So To start with, because for me it was something like very new. I am not from an Ayurveda background, so for me it was very, very new, and I had to like first to start with. We started with the macronutrients, but definitely, as you mentioned, we will definitely include the micronutrients as well. That's for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi Sonia, this is Rupa
Hi.
here.
Hi.
Yeah, congratulations on this wonderful project.
Thank
I
you.
have been both basic and the senior dietetics program. So what I understand is like, especially in the Kulatta Yusa
Yeah.
that you do,
Yeah.
basically horse tram is basically heating in nature.
Okay, correct.
And there is no addition of black pepper, but you're using pipali. Is
Yes.
it because the post-digestive vipaka is that it is sweet and
Yes.
it's not as tikshna as your pepper?
Correct.
So
Correct.
is that so? The quality, the Ayurvedic properties of the ingredients is considered while you design the recipes, is what I understand.
Yes, definitely. Like as you mentioned, we try to understand the Ayurvedic properties of, because as you mentioned, black pepper we have not given, we've given a pipli. That is because of the Ayurvedic properties of the pipli. So yeah, definitely. That is what is being considered here. Yeah.
And Dadima, I understand in Dadima Mutka, it is moong dal is light, yes, but Dadima is something that can be given in most of the conditions. The only fruit that is to be. So that is the reason it also enhances the iron properties, is what I
Yes.
understand. So is
Correct.
that the reason that it is used?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. The iron properties and also the antioxidants in terms of the modern perspective. So yeah, that is the reason. Yeah.
Okay, because I come from more of a cultural food enthusiastic, and my research is on that. My work is on as a
Oh,
passion.
great. Okay.
Just wanted to understand. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Any other doubts? Even if there is any other doubts, and if in future you want to understand my work, my cancer work, what I've been doing here, you can please write to us, and we are open to any of the collaborations as well. So yeah. Yeah, so the recordings of this webinar is put up on the will be put up on the YouTube channel, so you can definitely view it. And in terms like if you want to see the if you want to have my PPT, you can please write to me at wellness@tdu.in. So I will definitely send my PPT. Yes, Hema.
Hi, Sonia. Congrats on this wonderful topic. I was
Thank
definitely
you.
late to the party, so I kind of came in at the second half where you were explaining about the soups and salads, and I had just
Yes.
entered. So I'm just going to ask something that I didn't understand. Why are we comparing? I mean, why are you comparing in your study? Why not two salads, and why between soup and a salad? Because they're completely. I'm talking from a dietetics perspective. Obviously, you're the expert from the Ayurvedic dietetics
Yes.
perspective. The chewing pattern or the digestibility and everything is going to vary when it comes to salad and soup from a dietitian's knowledge, right?
Yes.
So why are we comparing soup and salad? Why not salad and soup? Could you just clarify this?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So here I'm trying to give you a thought that, for us, something which matters is the macronutrients and the micronutrients, right? But how the food is being given, the format of the food, whether it's a salad or whether it's a soup, both are having the same, the nutrient properties. But like as you mentioned, for someone who's having a chewing problem or whose Agni status is low, for them it's a better opportunity when you try to give the soups. So in my study, it was based on my study that we have tried to change the food formats to the gruels and soups for the patient's convenience. That is all. We are not trying to compare that obviously the salad is better or the soup are better, nothing like that. We're just trying to say that the food formats can be changed, but the total energy or the protein what you've been trying to give to the patient is going to remain the constant. So that is what we are trying to tell here.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you explaining. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Just continuing through the question, Rupa, here again.
Yeah.
I'm just wanting to ask the idea of salad, fresh salad, comparatively to the soup. What my understanding is, salad is going to be more of fresh veggies, which can be a little dry on your colon when your Agni is manda. Whereas soup could be a little more softer in nature. It's not like rough in nature, but maybe with over the period of time, with addition of a good fat like ghee, can improve the quality and the nature of the food itself. Is that understanding right, or
Definitely.
something that thought can be taken?
Yes, definitely. So so when you said the salad, the fresh vegetables are being used. So for a cancer patient, we suggest something called as a neutropenic diet that is being followed in like almost all the cancer hospitals. So neutropenic diet is something that whatever food you're trying to give to the patient has to be well cooked. There should not be anything which is given in the raw format, because these patients' neutrophil count will be low and they'll be prone to infections. So that is why we try to give them a neutropenic diet that is well cooked food. And as you mentioned, it's better to give them a soup because their Agni status is going to be low in that case, right? So definitely, as you mentioned, that is the reason we have tried to choose a soup over the salad. Yeah.
Okay, for a salad, you can add a dressing of little bit of a good fat on it, right? When you give just to improve the digestibility, just to balance the ruksha guna with the
yes,
make it a little more snigdha, which
definitely
is like balancing. So
yes,
that can okay.
Yeah, definitely that can be done. Yeah. Yes, Hema.
So, just a quick question. How did you tackle the taste changes or taste differences? How did patients pursue your intervention? I would just like to understand that part of
Sure.
the research.
Sure. Yeah. So, like initially it was kind of difficult for us to understand because the study here is just for the 10 patients we have done, and we really require, a longitudinal study. So the study will go on and we will try to understand more patients. So as you mentioned, out of those 10, I would not say that, 100% people were okay with having those food formats, or they were literally complying towards the food formats, but there was also a positive impact. Like there, even though the taste was, I would not say like better, but the post digestive effect was something which was making them happy, and that was the reason they were very they were okay to follow such kind of recipes. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I really hope this research goes far. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I have Sonia, this is Sheila Krishnaswamy again.
Yes.
I have another question, please.
Yeah.
Now, couple of things actually. Do you also, or rather, do you plan to measure the bioavailability of nutrients going forward? I don't think you've done that here. Second thing is, oh, sorry, I it just slipped out of my mind. Let's answer the first one, and meanwhile, I'll ask the second one.
Yeah, sure. So, bioavailability of the food, if we are, that is again something, that is very important for us. And that is not measured here, as you mentioned, but we are trying to understand that, and that will be definitely taken into consideration. Yeah.
All right. My second question is, do you also plan to repeat the assessments after a while? Because right now you've just seen the difference in the calorie density and the nutrient availability and all of that. But going forward, will you be doing the assessment all over again, the anthropometry and the ABCD and all of that?
Yes, definitely. Definitely we'll be doing it. So this study we have planned for like 2 years, 2.5 years it'll go on. And every 3 months we have a visit. So every 3 months or 6 months we are planning to do all the assessment, the ABCD, everything together. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. It might be a nice idea to repeat this presentation again because you have the baseline parameters already.
Correct.
Maybe at the end of 3 months or 6 months, when you see the difference, might be good to call for another webinar. Maybe you can organize
Yes.
that.
Yeah, sure.
What
Yeah.
the results are like. Yeah.
Definitely, sure. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Do we have any other questions?
Hello, congratulations.
Yeah,
According
thank
to according to modern dietetics studies, we generally we consider or treat some recommended food items. Like we have a list of food ingredients that will be incorporated in our dietary modifications, like pipili, tulsi, neem, and all such things will be categorized under like herbs. Like
Correct.
generally we will not include in our dietary recommendations. Like in your integrated study, how will you see this, or how will you, like, do you have any recommended level to incorporate it in the diet? And do they have any, like, apart from their medicinal uses, do they have any harmful effect if in case it exceeds amount or quantity when you use it in cookery? That's what is my question.
Yeah. Definitely, as you mentioned, these are some of the foods which, even if it is taken at a higher concentration, it will definitely cause a harm. So before I prescribe a diet, I try to sit with Dr. Bhargavi and I try to understand what it is mentioned for each of those ingredients in the classics, and based on that only we are suggesting the quantity. So it has to be like approximate, or it has to be not more than that, because it can definitely have a toxic effects. So before we give the diet, we try to understand how much of how much of each of those particular quantity can be given. So yeah, we definitely do that.
Yeah, I think that is the reason why these are not coming under food group classifications. Maybe they are categorized under herbs or
Correct.
medicinal herbs.
Correct.
I'll add a point here. See, the classification for us in the Ayurveda point of view is not herb versus macronutrient versus micronutrient. It is Tikta rasa versus Madhura rasa versus Katu rasa, right? So, from the Ayurvedic standpoint, no one rasa should predominate. We should have a Shadarasa meal, at least in the healthy situation. It will change, of course, in certain illnesses. But like you mentioned, for us, we look at neem or pipali or kadi patta even from the rasa perspective rather than the nutritional perspective. And so the addition of these in our meals is meant to balance the rasa parameters. But what we are finding is that they also end up balancing micronutrient requirements and improving bioavailability, at least based on in vitro studies. Like another participant pointed out, we would have to understand if this has an in vivo effect as well. But piperidine, for example, which is a major constituent of pipali as well as pepper nigrum, the black pepper, has been very nicely shown to improve the bioavailability of drugs, actually, as well as a vaccine adjuvant. We are, of course, interested in knowing if it has effects on amino acids and other classes of micronutrients and minerals per se. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Megha. Thank you.
Yeah, please go ahead, Madhu.
Megha, thanks for this webinar, and really interesting, very thought-provoking talk that we've heard as registered dietitians, and something new, a new approach towards integrated thing. And I think it's now we're going to see more of this kind of a fusion. Some questions like you mentioned about the cancer patients in particular. You're doing this like I mean the same thing. You will probably apply the same kind of management to maybe other diseases also, but that is I mean a long process. But mentioning about cancer patients, how long are they admitted with you for a period? Like, are they on chemotherapy during that period? And I don't know whether what form chemotherapy is given in these in Ayurveda hospitals, because these patients have a lot of during the chemo or during the radiotherapy when this is going on, a lot of the side effects, adverse reactions, and all that. But so like vomiting or other things, and they are and loss of appetite. So especially it's very difficult to feed them at that time. So have you encountered that period, or do you exclude that period from your study?
Yeah. So we have included both the cases. Like there are patients who are, taking chemotherapy and they come to us because they're taking chemotherapy. That, as you mentioned, there'll be some kind of side effects, right? So to overcome that, these people come to us and just to, improve the quality of life, they come to the Ayurveda approach. And that is when, our doctors give an Ayurveda approach to improve the side effects, what is being done from the chemotherapy. But we at our hospital, we don't have the chemotherapy which is being done. They take the chemotherapy from somewhere else and they come to us for a better management. Yeah, exactly.
So I mean in your hospitals, how do they manage the cancer? They don't come for the treatment of the clinical treatment or management, you say it's only for the dietary aspect mostly?
No, they do come for an whole approach. So this particular study is trying to understand whatever the Ayurveda management is there with the diet. So in like, just because I'm a dietitian, I want to understand the diet and I don't want to present the the Ayurveda approach. But definitely the doctors are working on the intervention of the Ayurveda approach as well. Yeah. So that is a total different case.
Yeah, that's interesting. But then do you
It's a mixed group. It's a mixed,
Yeah.
it's an observational study, so we have not kept any exclusion criteria. So
Okay,
that's why we have a mixed group. Sometimes somebody needs a parental care. Some people are just coming in for 4 or 5 days and then leaving again. It's really observational. This is not a case controlled or even a single arm kind of study. There's no exclusion criteria. So I would
this is
say
just
that we are using this study to figure out how to rigorously collect information, how to rigorously analyze the information that we have, and what correlations can we make between the dietetic prescription and how the patient feels or how the patient is able to manage. So what we are looking at are outcomes of usage and feeling, very qualitative, rather than outcomes of well-being. And that is something I think it'll take a while. But the problem is we don't even have like a structured way in which to start asking this question, right? Because I can do this in the lab very easily. I know exactly what questions to ask, what tools to use, but we don't know what to do it at the clinic level. So I would, and that is why we want to give this webinar, because we would love to hear from you, right? What are parameters we should be considering or we have not considered, and how do we even collect data in a systematic manner so that we can present this as evidence. Yes. Yeah. It's very preliminary at this point. We would love to get some feedback.
Something like dual fusion kind of a thing. Like, can they be on their clinical management or chemo, whatever they, and alongside take your management also? Can that be? I mean, have you looked at that also?
That's what they're doing right now. they come in looking for things, isn't it, Sonia? It is alongside with their management. Whatever is their current treatment, it is alongside that, isn't it, Sonia?
Yes, it's alongside with the treatment. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, so I think if there are more questions, you can write to us and we'll get back to you. Thank you all for attending this webinar. Have a great day.
Bye bye.